Hola bonitas, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review and wear test on the new Huda Beauty Easy Bake and Snatch press powders. I'm so excited to be testing these out for you guys. I actually already did a quick short form content video on Instagram Reels and also TikTok. So if you watch that, now I'm going to bring you guys the wear test. You guys know I love doing the wear test on YouTube. Entonces, eso es lo que vamos a hacer hoy. So I did almost all of my makeup. I just have to go ahead and apply my concealer, loose powder, and then of course use these pressed powders. So these are the new Huda Beauty Easy Bake and Snatch Pressed Talc-Free Brightening and Setting Powders. These retail for $38. There are 8 shades of this. I did pick up the shade Cherry Blossom, which is that viral shade that everybody loved in the loose powder. This is great for brightening. And then I also did pick up the shade Blondie. This is for medium to deep tan skin tones with golden undertones. And this one was a really good match for me, so I'm very excited about these. I'm happy that I went and started to swatch the shades because I feel like I was able to really see which one I would be. These are cruelty free, these are fragrance free, which is great. You guys know that the loose powders had like a good amount of fragrance, so it's good that these don't. This is also supposed to give us a natural finish, medium coverage, and this does contain hyaluronic acid. This is a creamy, hydrating, non-comedogenic pressed powder, which non-comedogenic means it won't, you know, clog your pores. Designed for targeting, brightening, lifting, and setting for medium coverage and a natural finish. The highlighted ingredients is the avocado derivative, which controls shine, and also the hyaluronic acid, which hydrating for a smooth, non-drying texture, which I love that. I did watch a few videos on how Huda does apply these, so I'm just gonna be taking the Huda Beauty concealer, and we're just gonna do our normal routine with these. Now, I do have oily skin, so I'm very excited to see how these powders will set my face. Now, for loose powder, I do not have the Huda Beauty powder. I am gonna be using my tried and true, and that is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I have this in the shade medium, and if you watch my videos, you know this is the powder that I always use. So I'm just going to make sure that I really target directly on the under eye, and that's gonna keep everything really nice and in place, locked in for me. Because honestly, for me personally, I have to use a loose powder to really make sure I don't crease, because I do crease a lot. So I always go in with a loose powder. And Huda, in her video that she posted on Instagram, she did first go in with her loose powder to set the under eyes, and then she finished it off with the pressed powder. But for the people that don't crease as much, you can definitely just get away with using a pressed powder to kind of do the 2-in-1 to set everything underneath the under eye, but also to brighten it really nicely. So it just really depends on what works best for you. So now we're gonna go ahead and open the powder. So this one is the Cherry Blossom one, the viral one. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have tried the loose powder of this. You guys, if you watched that video, you saw, definitely does give you brightness, but it wasn't my favorite color on me. I definitely do feel like with these, with this color on my skin tone, it definitely is more so of a bright finish. So if you're looking for that brightness, then I think you will really like these. But I feel like if you're looking for something more natural, I would go in with a shade that is more compatible with your skin complexion. So you open it right away. It looks like this. This kind of reminds me, like packaging wise, of the Huda Beauty eyeshadows, those like little mini palettes. So I really like it, very nice and practical. And then you get your powder. Let's see how much powder you get. You get 0.29 ounces in here. And it says Easy Bake. And you get a nice mirror so you can take these on the go and, you know, touch up whenever you need to. And you open it and you have a sponge that looks like this. And I have to say, I really love that they made the sponge like this, because I feel like it really allows to set the under eyes or add that brightness, really get into like those hard to reach areas, whether it's near your inner tear duct, around the nose, all that good stuff. So for me, I like that. I'm glad they didn't just do like the typical like rounded sponges, because that's typically what people do for the powders, is to just make them rounded. So that right there, I was like, okay, that is a plus. I'm just gonna quickly dust away the powder on the under eye. Let me open the other one, which is the shade Blondie, which I described to you guys. That this one matches my complexion the best. It does have a little bit of some yellow in there, but it's not too yellow. The next shade up was a little too yellow for me. So I felt like this shade was gonna be the perfect to flatter my complexion without it being like too bright, too light, or too yellow, because I don't want it to be too yellow on the under eye. And also this will work great with like my overall complexion for those times where I do want to set my entire face of makeup with just this powder. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Blondie, the shade that I would personally use for every day. And I am going to just sculpt, and you guys can see like it starts to like really just kind of angle everything nicely. It has really good pigment there. Like este sponge, I give it un 10. I give it a 10 out of 10, because I just feel like it's so practical. It's so easy to use. You can easily go in and really structure where you want like your blush, you know, to be nice, clean, and sharp. Look at the difference it makes right there. You guys can see the difference. It just really sharpens everything up really nicely. Now, I will say for me personally, for me setting the face, I really like to use a puff. I need to get that little mini Huda Beauty one, that little pink one. It's so cute and perfect. So I'm just gonna use my own clean one. These I just get from Amazon, but I like to use a puff like this to go in and really set the face, because I feel like for me, this texture works best for really pressing everything in. And I'm just gonna begin setting everything into place. So you guys can see, like, look at that pigmentation. It takes care of any of that shine that's peeking through. I mean, you can already see the difference. So for me personally, I really love this little puff for like those touch-ups, like I said. But I think if you want to really go in and set your makeup in place and have it, you know, really give you a flawless, smooth, matte look, I would go in with like a powder puff. And I appreciate the fact that it's not like a matte and flat product. Like, it gives you really nice coverage, and it just locks everything very beautifully. If you want more so of a natural finish, you can go in with a brush and just set it, and it gives you more so of like that lightly dusted matte look. Love that you have options with this, whether you want to use it at home just to set your overall face, or whether you use it at home and you take it on the go and see how that works for you. So now what I'm going to do, because we did use this to set the overall face, I am going to go ahead and use Cupcake as the under eye brightener. It's going to give us that extra brightness. So I'm going in with Cherry Blossom, and I'm just going to be using that on the under eye like that. Just patting it in nice and lightly. Do you see? Like, it definitely brightens. I do feel like the Cherry Blossom shade is best, in my opinion, for those days where you are glamming and you do want a lot of brightness, especially if you are around my complexion. You guys can see like the difference between that and just everything else. I'm noticing a little bit though, right on my nose right here. I don't know if you guys can see, it is kind of clinging on the powder a little bit, and that's just because the nose area for me, I tend to have the most texture. So look at the difference. The powder's right here, and then without anything over here. These are very customizable, so you can use them however work best for you. If you want more so of that light coverage, I would go in with a brush. If you want more so of that full coverage, more pigment, I would take a sponge. Look at all the dew compared to this side. Like, this side just looks so much more polished, put together. And I will show you guys in natural lighting clips so you guys can see how these look in the natural light, but like, it makes a big difference. So I'm gonna quickly finish this up, and then we can start the wear test, because I'm ready to see how these work on the complexion for the entire day. Okay, bonitas, I am back. I finished the entire face of makeup. El maquillaje está listo. Right now it is 9:47 a.m. en la mañana. So we are going to begin this wear test using the powders. We're gonna see how they wear on my oily skin. We're gonna see how they wear through the day, just all of that good stuff. But I really like how they look right now on the skin. I feel like they really like sculpted everything really beautifully. I like the fact that they're pressed also because it is mess free, so you don't have to worry about like sculpting the face and getting like a bunch of powder everywhere. So that's a plus, because sometimes when I try to sculpt the face with loose powders, el polvo, the powder just gets everywhere. The only area where I'm not the biggest fan of it is right here in the nariz, but you just have to really pick and choose where you really need it and where you should apply less of. And now that I've applied it all over the face, I can kind of see where it works best, and this side it doesn't look as bad because I went with less powder around the nose. But everywhere else, it looks really nice. I really like how it sculpted my face and really gave me like that full glam, ready to go look. So I'm very excited to see how these do. I will keep you guys posted through the day. A natural lighting clip is coming, and at the end of the day for my final thoughts. So stay tuned because you are not gonna want to miss this. Let's see if this is worth our cash or not. So las veo pronto. I'll see you guys later. Okay, bonitas, so here is the powders on the face. I have to say, in natural light, los polvos, the powders, they look really nice, and the shade Blondie is honestly like my perfect go-to pressed powder shade because it matches my complexion and also the foundation very, very well. So I really like that. And I also like the fact that Cherry Blossom on the under eye doesn't look too intense. I feel like in natural light it looks good. It does give me brightness, but not like that overly brightened, super dramatic look. So you guys can see, so I think it's a completely matte powder. I don't, but I kind of appreciate that because I don't want it to be like too like matte and flat. But you guys can see it looks nice. The only area, like I mentioned, right here in the nariz a little bit, I applied too much powder and it just isn't the best for me. But everywhere else, the powder does look really, really good. So definitely impressed with how it looks in natural lighting. Now let's carry on with the wear test because we need to see how this does until the evening. Okay, bonitas, I am back. Right now it is 6:50 p.m. in the evening, and this is what the face looks like with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake and Snatch press powders. So as you guys know, on the under eyes, I did use the Cherry Blossom powder for that extra brightness. And then everywhere else, I used the Blondie powder. And I have to say, it actually held up pretty well with my oily skin. I thought I was gonna be much more dewy than I am, which I do appreciate that I'm not super dewy right now, considering it's been a long day. Something else that I really like about this powder is that I feel like my makeup still looks like it did when I first started the day. Like in terms of pigmentation, like the pigment is still there. And I think it's because we set it with this powder, and I feel like it really locked everything into place really nicely. So my makeup like isn't coming off, like the makeup is on. I also like the fact that the under eyes look pretty good. Typically by now I'm creasing a lot, but with this, I feel like the creasing is like very minimal. I think I would recommend these definitely to anybody who does have oily skin, who's looking for a nice matte finish, but not flat. For me, honestly, nowadays, I prefer something that looks skin-like rather than something that looks too matte and flat. And I definitely do feel like by the end of the day, I do get a nice skin-like finish from this. Yes, my oils start to peek through because I do have very oily skin, but they're not as intense as they could be. I also just appreciate how well the makeup's still in place. The shade Blondie is great. And I think the shade Cherry Blossom is good if you want that brightness on your under eyes. If you don't care for the brightness, I would say Blondie all over if you're on my complexion, I think will work really well, especially for like every day. That's pretty much it. I hope that this video was super helpful for you guys. If it was, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know down below if you'll be checking out these powders. I wanted to bring you guys the review because you guys know I love to do a wear test for you guys, letting you guys know my thoughts and whether I think they are worth it or not. So just let me know your thoughts, but I think they're pretty good and I am very excited to continue using this. I'll keep you guys posted with how they work. But I definitely do think that with these powders, it's just really preference, what you prefer, whether you prefer loose or pressed, and then make your decision based on that. But that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Don't forget to stay safe, stay blessed, and stay beautiful. Y nos vemos pronto. Adiós, bonitas.